wouldn't say there's a specific amount of time because we all progress at different speeds, and there are way too many variables to isolate and then determine amount of time. However, I will say that there are specific things that you have to have in place. One of the things, like I mentioned, is build the foundation, but we also have to build a brand, because I know one challenge that I had starting out was I was a vice president of an advertising agency in New York City. I mean, what type of perception is that compared to a multifamily syndicator?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had to shift the perception of me being someone who is in advertising to someone who is a multifamily syndicator. And so there are milestones along the way, but as far as how long that takes, it's different for everyone. I have a client, he was 22, I think, at the time, 21 or 22, and he raised over $300,000 in 6 months and bought a 30-unit apartment building in Virginia while living in New York City. But then there are others, who, myself included, who took longer. Mine was about 8 months. So, you know, the nature of commercial real estate in general, I mean, it takes a couple months at minimum, if you're just going after it full time, looking at deals, to find something at minimum.
Yeah.
And that depends on a lot of factors as well. And then once you find something, then it's 60, 90 days to close. So that period of time, and there's 6 months right there. And then there's a lot, depending on what your starting point is, there's a lot leading up to getting there.
Yeah.
So there is ramp up time, and this is by no means a quick get up and running type of business. There's a long lead time. I think with wholesaling, there would be a much quicker get out of the gate, start making a buck approach, but the upside isn't as great, in my opinion, to wholesaling, and it's not as scalable. Whereas I think with multifamily syndication, the more apartment buildings you purchase, the easier it is, quite frankly, to scale, because you can bring on the right team members and and you're able to scale a lot faster, in my opinion, once you reach the tipping point. Whereas wholesaling, I think you've got to block and tackle along the way.
Yeah, and as I can tell from your business, you've been able to systematize it so much better over time. Like at first it was probably a little more difficult, and then as time went on, you got better and better at it. Whereas now it's like you're pumping out deals constantly now. At least what it seems like to me. So
yep,
perfect.